young. I read a lot, I wrote poetry. I would have been a totally different person had I not been exposed to these things. I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world.
Francois Marie-Arqouet, better known as Voltaire, was a man whose ideology and philosophy embodies the Age of Enlightenment. Born in the prosperous middle-class family in 1694, Voltaire was a sickly infant. In fact, his wet nurse predicted he would not survive a day. Ironic, considering he went on to live to the ripe age of 84. As a child, he received the typical Jesuit classical education of the time. A gifted writer, he began writing prose almost as soon as he learned to write. Also, as a result of his dialectic education, he was a skilled debater and could prove through reason ideas and thoughts for which there was no to little proof. While other children went to play, Francois would stay behind, debating theology with doctors and teachers. After his formal education, he decided to take up literature as a profession, much to the dismay of his father. When told by Francois of his decision, his father replied, "Literature is the profession by which a man chooses to be useless to society, a burden to his family, and to die of hunger." Despite his father's obvious objections, Voltaire moved to Paris and began a career as a playwright. While in Paris, his plays, including his tragedy Oedipe and his epic Henrietta, received much praise, and his wit made him a favorite amongst intellectuals. But his sharp tongue soon became his downfall, as a fight with a local nobleman saw him exiled to England, a fate which turned to be a blessing in disguise. His unfailing wit and charm made him once again a welcomed guest among scholars and socialites of England. He fell in love instantly with the social culture of English life and expressed his admiration in his philosophic letters on the English, written in 1733. He discussed his respect for England's political freedom and religious tolerance, sentiments very dear to Voltaire. While the letters exaggerated his praise for the English way of life, they also seemed to undercut the French Regency and its monarchical and religious oppression. These letters marked Voltaire's transition from playwright to philosopher. When he returned to France, his new ideals made him an unwelcome guest in most aristocratic circles, and he was forced to take refuge in an estate in Ferney, on the foothills of the Swiss Alps, just at France's border. From this location, Voltaire's seclusion allowed for him to build a prolific stream of plays, pamphlets, novels, letters, and histories. Above all of this newfound philosopher's ideals was the need of religious tolerance and criticism of traditional religion. Voltaire himself was a deist, much like the English scholars he admired so greatly, such as Isaac Newton and John Locke. His ideas came to a boiling point in 1762, when a merchant, Jean Calais, was wrongly executed for the murder of his son. The popular belief was that Calais had killed his son for converting to Catholicism while he himself was a Protestant. Voltaire was able to prove his son had committed suicide, and the charges were annulled, and the Calais family received compensation for the wrongful execution. During this time, Voltaire wrote his treatise on toleration, citing the successes of religious toleration in England and Holland. His ideals took hold in France due to the religious turmoil of the time. After 20 years away from his beloved Paris, he resolved to return once more in 1778 to see his final play, Irene. The trip proved too great for the aging Voltaire, and expecting to die soon, he wrote his farewell to his friends and family. Nevertheless, he recovered and attended his play, only to die 2 months later. On his deathbed in May of 1778, the ever-stubborn Voltaire was asked to renounce the devil and ask God's forgiveness, to which he humorously replied, "Now, good man, this is no time to be making enemies."